Okay, so this is a response video to the article from Courage News that came out about the Marianne Williamson campaign. Um, where to start? It's a lot of fluff, it seems to me. I mean, I gather that anyone can go to a news organization and say anything, and whoever reads it is supposed to sort of take it on faith. Um, But even on the face of reading this article, which was written by, just a moment, I'm going to have a look here. I already did this video once and there was some weird kind of like feedback from the aircon. So this is my second attempt, so I'm a little bit lackluster as compared to the first time. I was all excited. I think her name is Jen Dyes or Jen Dees, the writer. Yeah. Now, I'm a firm believer in the fourth estate. And I believe that anyone who, like a journalist, is just someone who looks out their window, sees something, and reports it, publishes some information about it. So that's pretty much it. However, I think if you're like, a lot of this just kind of seems like a bunch of people anonymously made a claim about Marianne Williamson and then reported it to Courage News, which is a Substack I guess it's published on Substack. Anyway, I'm going to read you some of it. And I will try not to be too mocking, but I do have my opinions about the kind of tone of the article. Okay, Marianne Williamson may mean well, but a collective of former staff from her 2024 presidential campaign says they have a desperate responsibility to tell you to stop supporting the spiritual author's run for the nation's top spot. So they're warning us, which is, very kind of us. Also very prevalent in our culture. There seem to be a lot of warnings and not many, not many people saying, "Oh, there's this hopeful thing coming." Anyway, that's kind of more what I'm trying to do. In an exclusive letter given to Courage News. So when we talk about an exclusive letter that was given to Courage News, these were not people who were dying to talk to Courage News as much as Jen Dyes repeatedly begging for news pretty much on Twitter for several weeks, where she kept asking people to come forward who had worked on or were working with the Marianne Williamson campaign, volunteers, staff members, whatever, and whatever they wanted to express. But it was kind of a leading question, and I kept getting it confused with the National Enquirer, which was also asking for dirt repeatedly. If you search Marianne Williamson's name on Twitter, you will see these kind of requests for information. Okay. In an exclusive letter given to Courage News, seven former staff members alleged deception, sabotage, gaslighting. Oh, that word. It's very prevalent. Emotional abuse, erratic behavior, conditions leading to extreme staff turnover, and extreme staff turnover. I think the scrutiny is kind of extreme on her staff turnover because I don't think it's that dramatic as compared to other campaigns. I mean, I haven't done like a deep dive or anything, but from what I know about presidential campaigns, they do normally see quite a lot of staff turnover. Erratic behavior, conditions leading to extreme staff turnover. And I mean, erratic behavior is very vague. My behavior is erratic every day. And general dysfunction with a Y, which I didn't know was spelled with, beyond what they have ever experienced in political campaigns or professional work. Now, they're making a comparison there, which is a kind of it strikes me as an emotional assessment without detail. So like, what was so dramatically different as compared to other political campaigns, I would like to know. Not just like in their opinion. I have spoken to, so this is Jen Dye speaking. I have spoken to over a dozen former staff members and volunteers who corroborate these statements beyond even the signatories and have reviewed hard evidence of the allegations. Hard evidence she's not showing us, um, just that she's reviewed it. She also doesn't actually say expressly that the evidence backs up what they're claiming. The letter, whose signatories have been granted anonymity due to their fear of legal backlash from the strict Williamson NDAs and other threats of legal action, follows. Yeah, she's really scary. To our fellow Americans, I mean, in my opinion, like, anyone in authority can be scary, but I don't think Marianne Williamson is the top of my list of scary authoritarian figures. To our fellow Americans, we are a collective of former staff, both resigned and terminated, of the 2024 Marianne Williamson for President campaign. We are all longtime dedicated supporters of the progressive movement. Great. Our combined professional experience includes work on over 100 political campaigns. Cool. As well as ballot initiatives and activist work. Like, ballot initiative sounds really official. I'd kind of like to know what's involved in that. Each of us joined this campaign in good faith and with the best of intentions, many setting aside or leaving other valuable work, each making a personal investment towards seeing the first progressive president in our lifetime and the first woman president in the history of the United States. Cool, me too. We were all genuinely enthusiastic about Williamson's campaign when we started, and we believed it had the potential to change the direction of the country for the better. I still think it does. Today, we come forward with heavy hearts because we were deceived, intentionally or unintentionally, and we know others are still being deceived by the continuance of Mary Williamson's campaign. I'm assuming it says. I'm having to scroll here. Yes. Our goal in making this statement is to be transparent and bring awareness to the fact that the campaign has been repeatedly sabotaged by the candidate herself. So essentially, this is call it out culture. That's what I'm calling it. Like, as Dr. Loretta Ross said, there's a lot of call it out culture, which is basically pointing out that something is shitty or bad without providing a solution. As a candidate, Williamson has consistently prevented staff from completing the work necessary to run a campaign or win an election. How? That's my question. Disregarding their experience and expertise, which I'm sure was extremely... I mean, what experience and expertise? Are we talking about Jeremy Elwood's experience as national ballot access expert? Because I don't even know what that is. Like, I'm an ignorant Canadian. So I do not know all the nuts and bolts of American electoral politics, but I do not understand what national ballot access has to do with the primary. I think you need state ballot access. As a candidate, Williamson has consistently prevented staff from completing the work necessary. Yeah, how did she do that? Okay. Despite having a staff full of competent professionals, she continually micromanages. Good. The campaign, disallowing any growth or forward momentum for the campaign as a whole. How? And also, why, given that Marianne Williamson has often been in a position where she has, I believe, in her previous run, been hindered or sabotaged by her staff, according to reports that I heard. So I would expect her to take an interest in the details of her own campaign. I would want her to, honestly. Disallowing any growth or forward momentum for the campaign as a whole. Is it her disallowing it, or is it the staff disallowing it? Williamson assigns tasks to staff that directly conflict with the advice of the expert she hired. When staff complete the work as directed, their work is frequently picked apart and criticized by Williamson, so it's reviewed, to the point that she backtracks on her own decisions and gaslights. Oh no, not the gaslighting. God, I hate that word. It's very prevalent and people use it as a buzzword, and then people kind of gasp, like, oh, not gaslighting. But it's become as popular as the word empath was a couple of years ago. And I find it equally, if not more, obnoxious. Okay, gaslights. Where are we? Gaslight staff into believing the mix-up was their own doing. Her interactions with staff go beyond that of a tough boss, as she has claimed in her defense. How so? Her behavior, I mean, to me, what you're describing sounds like, at worst, a tough boss. Her behavior is frequently intimidating, demeaning, and demoralizing. So these are all kind of like descriptive words that are open to interpretation. Like, how do you quantify what's intimidating? How do you quantify what's demeaning? How do you quantify what's demoralizing? All of us have worked demanding jobs with tough bosses. This was not the same. How so? Working for her did not feel tough. It felt emotionally abusive and hopeless. I mean, I wonder, not in the volunteer groups. I mean, I don't know about the staff, but the volunteer kind of community of Marianne Williamson, which for me is an online experience, is extremely cooperative and uplifting to each other. It's like mutually quite empowering, I would say. There is a difference between working for a demanding boss and feeling like you're walking on eggshells in every meeting. Yeah, I would think that it would be. But I'm going to need more than just your description of how you felt to kind of like they're asking us to take a lot on faith based on their feelings. Additionally, Williamson is very impressionable and susceptible to flattery. She, not me, I would never be susceptible to flattery. She regularly adopts the opinions of the friend or fan she last spoke with and gives direction to staff based on their comments. So she takes advice from people if she thinks that the advice is valid. At times when this directly contradicts the advice of the experts on her staff, not the experts, no, don't hurt the experts. She reacts by saying, I am the candidate, or I have run for office and you haven't, disregarding that some on staff have also run for office. Yeah, that would sting. She's also probably not memorized everyone's qualifications on her staff at all times, because in a presidential campaign, there are a lot of turnover, and she's dealing with 3 million things at once. So I can understand that might hurt your ego, but she is the candidate in her own race. It is about her. So she is the one to make the decision. I would expect her to make the final. She would have the final say on stuff. As such, we believe that her unpredictable nature and erratic behavior, so mercurial, basically, like she's moving with she's adapting to the changes of the times, which stuff is moving very quickly. And it might be that, she thinks that it's important to go to New Hampshire in one moment, and then in the next she thinks that she should go to South Carolina because something's happening there. I mean, I suspect that when she went to the rally in Tennessee, that was a sudden decision, and I think it was a good one. Is not the erratic behavior is not conducive to leading a presidential administration or a nation. Your opinion, which is fine. We were wrong to believe that she is the leader our country needs at this critical time, even if the campaign were in a position to win. Okay, I want to say something about this. I disagree with publishing that opinion because I think it is a blatant attempt to influence other voters, which is not your place to do. I think you have the right to believe in or advocate for any candidate or any movement that you want, but it is not your place to kind of make this dramatic claim and kind of not really rooted in anything other than how you felt in the situation, and then make this dramatic warning to other people in an attempt to influence their vote when actually voting is a pretty personal and sacred thing. Um, However, the campaign is not in a position to win. Yeah, everyone loves to say that. First, there is no plan for obtaining ballot access or securing delegates. I would refute that outright because I think that Carlos Cardona does know about ballot access. It is not something that needs to be secured until October. New Hampshire does an open primary, and Jeremy Elwood was claiming that Carlos Cardona is an expert in social media or something like that. Like he was implying that. No. Ballot access and organization is what he knows about. He's not on Facebook. He's not like a social media nutcase. Second, in addition to the documented high turnover, very documented, my goodness. Talk about scrutiny. In the role of campaign manager, Williamson fails to fill other key roles such as political director. What is that? Data director. What is that? Comms director, etc. Etc. Emphasis on etc. I don't know what these roles are, and I also think that if you're Marianne Williamson and you're not taking PAC money, there's going to be some trimming of the fat because it is something of a shoestring budget, certainly compared to what is it? Oh God, hundreds of millions of dollars another guy was putting into his campaign on the Republican side. This leaves staff to step in and fill the gaps, which is great that they did that, which we have proudly done as a team. Excellent. Third, efforts to resolve these issues were met with pushback, attacks, and in some cases, termination. Okay, so the termination if we're talking about Jeremy Elwood and his national ballot access, I would have terminated him too, because I don't think you need that early in the primary, and I'm not sure you need it in the general because I thought that the Democratic Party would have ballot access in all the states already as a major party, so the nominee would have it automatically. And I don't know what, again, they're saying pushback and attacks, and those are these kind of very vague descriptive words, which I would want details of what that looked like in order to believe them. For example, when staff tried to raise the alarm regarding ballot access and offer a solution, what solution and what was the issue with the ballot access? Those who spoke up were accused of ambushing Williamson and subsequently fired. Look, I don't know. Accused by who? That would be interesting because that sounds like another staffer accused them. And again, I don't know what the ballot access issue was. In the days that followed, every remaining staffer was directed to focus exclusively on events and social media by both Williamson and new campaign manager Carlos Cardona. Good. Then he can get on with the ballot access issue. These are just a few examples of the campaign's general dysfunction. Dysfunction with a Y. That looks odd to me, but I'm not sure. Based on our observations and our interactions with her, Marianne Williamson has demonstrated no intention of becoming president, no strategy to win this election, and no ability to effectively lead this country or follow through on her progressive platform. So again, this is like they're giving you the conclusion without the evidence that they reached based on what they saw. And I based on what I'm seeing, as someone who is living in Thailand, a Canadian, but I'm looking at, videos of her doing um, Ask Me Anything once a week, and she's platforming other people. So, like, she's platforming activists and she's platforming um, all kinds of union organizers and people on her channel. She's interviewing, about Cop City and all this stuff that is not about her. Actually, it's about the movement. And so, to me, it looks like someone who wants to effect a change um, by becoming president. I mean, I kind of think this is what a president does. For all the reasons shared above and more, we are forced to conclude that this campaign is an experiment in deception. I don't know what that means. And that we as staff played a role in that. We cannot, in good conscience, allow it to continue without it being challenged publicly. I still don't know what you're challenging. Like, I'm challenging your challenging of the vague thing that you put forward, your impression that this campaign is not genuine. We also want to express our support for all the exceptional people still working with the campaign staff or volunteers. Thank you. I can't speak for the campaign staff. I'm just volunteering online from abroad as a Canadian. It is not our intention to make their jobs harder than they already are. Good. These are incredibly talented individuals. That is beautiful to say. Who have our ongoing and unwavering respect, gratitude, and support. Lovely. And I'm not being facetious. That's nice. Early in the campaign, there was an effort to unionize, and we hope for their health and safety that the remaining staff are able to pursue that. Finally, we hope this experience does not dissuade our younger colleagues from continuing to fight for their progressive values and the future they deserve. I mean, yeah, like Marianne Williamson is a champion of unions and labor. She could allow her workers to unionize. I also think it's kind of like a shoestring budget, and I don't necessarily think that like it's not functioning like a corporation that you have to unionize. And I don't see like the reason you would have to unionize is if you're being abused or underpaid, and I don't think that they are based on anything they've presented. But again, I'm not there. We have deeply considered the ramifications and retaliation we may be subjected to for speaking out. Yeah, because she's like the CIA, right? We are all operating with integrity, knowing that our careers and reputations are on the line without putting our names forward, to ensure that people are not further deceived by a mismanaged presidential campaign with no path to victory. Yeah, like this is complete rubbish because they're criticizing something which about Marianne Williamson's campaign, which is actually kind of cool, which is the fact that it is so organic and authentic. And it's okay, yeah, maybe in some cases a little disorganized, but then you're characterizing that as being not genuine, when in fact I would say that it is more genuine because of that, because it's more human. It's not operating like a machine. We joined this campaign because we believed in Williamson's potential to deliver the better future promised by her progressive platform. I don't know why you would not anymore. However, no amount of time, money, or energy will contribute to this campaign's success. We encourage donors, I mean, you don't know that. We encourage donors, especially those with recurring donations, to stop and ask yourselves if your hard-earned money would be better spent elsewhere. So would I. I would encourage you to ask that of any campaign, of yourself regarding any campaign, and repeatedly ask yourself. Like, you should always believe where you're putting your, you should always believe in where you're putting your money and where you're putting your energy. You should not blindly follow anyone. And I agree with them about that. And, I'm still up all night stumping for Marianne Williamson. Speaking for myself. Okay, yes. To remaining volunteers, we urge you to find credible activists and political work on which to focus your energy and resources. Thank you sincerely. And okay, so the undersigned who I guess remained anonymous. Anyway, yeah, so the only reason I'm covering this is because I regard it as not an attempt to be transparent or an attempt to speak truth to power. First of all, because I think it's a bit of a stretch to call the upstart campaign of Marianne Williamson power. Like, we're not talking about the head of the CIA or the head of the FBI. We're talking about a small dollar donation campaign, grassroots. And also, I regard this as an attempt to influence voters, which I am deeply against. I think that if you believe in something, believe in it. And if you don't do it. But publishing an article like this, to me, is actually a blatant attempt to lean on the scale, which is actually not something I see Marianne Williamson doing. I see her presenting her policies, and that's really it. Like, I don't see her saying, I'm so fabulous and you have to vote for me. I have seen her say, if you believe in my policies, then donate to my campaign, which is how campaigns work. I mean, that's not unusual for campaigns. You know, that's kind of how they're supposed to go. Now, I have heard, yeah, well, that's another topic. You know, RBN is not into electoral politics, except Cornell West. Anyway, so this is my rebuttal to the article written by Jen Dyes for Courage News. Marianne 2024. That's how I feel about it. And I mean, if anything, this makes me more kind of committed to her, because it looks on the face of it like a hit piece, just by the tone and everything. Anyway, this is a long video. I love you all. Be well. And yeah, I mean, the last thing they said is very right. Yeah, you should think carefully about where you're donating your time and your money. For sure you should. And that you should do in everything in your life. Okay, bye.